Hey, John here. Here's the lick of the day, number 7. This one is in C major and it's got this sort of neoclassical vibe. If you want tabs for this one, you have a link in the description below. And I'm just going to play it through once slowly, starting here on the 8th fret of the low E string. Right, so we start here with a chromatic run from the 8th fret, C, and we're just going to lead us up to the 3rd of the key, E up here. So it's quite a lot of notes. It's fairly easy to remember though, hopefully. So you get this sort of staircase thing for your index finger for the first octave. So starting on the 8th, 7th, and 6th, and you just fill in the blanks here, which would be... And I alternate pick all this. And then I do sort of the same thing from the 10th fret, and I say sort of because I need to compensate for the B string. So it's gonna be this kind of broken staircase. And then finally this note, which leads us up here. So if we connect all that, and tricky part here, position shift, and you try to get that as inaudible as possible, so you just want to have a big, think of like a chromatic run on a piano, for example. Anyway, from this point we're gonna play a C major arpeggio sequence, and the sequence goes like this. So we got 8 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we repeat that in next inversion. But what we got here is 12, 8, 8, 9. And the way that I pick it is downstroke, because that's where I'm coming from. So down, pull off, and then up, down, down, down. And then when I get back up here again, it's going to be an upstroke. So down, pull off, up, down, 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 up, pull off. And then I start the next inversion with an upstroke as well. If you want to do a downstroke there, do that. Doesn't really matter because you have a pull off, so you can really do... Whoops, don't do that. You can do what you want. Start going down, start going up. Since you have the pull off, you have pretty much all the time in the world to do it. Anyway, combine those two. Oh, sorry, the notes here would be 15, 12, 13, 12. So it's kind of this D shape. So then we jump up to 20, which is the root. And now we're not going to do... Could have done that, but we're not. We're gonna go down in a C major add 9 arpeggio, and that's exactly what it says on the tin. It's a C major, and you add the 9th, and the 9th is just chordal speak for the 2nd note of the scale. And if we're in C, the 2nd note will be D. So we have, and then we end here. And the way that I picked this is upstroke, pull off to the 15th fret. Upstroke on the 17, pull off to 15 on the B string, then upstroke, upstroke on 17 on the G string, on the D string, and then upstroke, and I think I pick everything here actually. I have to refer to the tab. Yeah. So on the last string I pick everything, so. Then I do this kind of George Lynch / Greg Howe vibrato, where you just slide around the note that you want to get. I'm not really good at that. It works somehow, sometimes, and it worked in the video in the first playthrough, so I was happy with that. But of course, you can do whatever you want. Regular vibrato works great as well. So, put together from the beginning of the arpeggio sequence. So that's about it. And of course, whatever part of this that you have the most trouble with, you need to spend the most time there. But I think the sections here are fairly big contrast between them. So you're probably gonna find out pretty quickly what seems to work less great compared to the other. So I would spend more time there until you sort of get them up to the same level. For chromatic stuff, I think it's a matter of identifying if the issue is just playing things 4 notes per string in general, if that's hard for you picking, or if it's the problem is this shift. It might be both, so don't be discouraged if that's the case. It's just a matter of learning things that you hopefully like the sound of, and then you can use these to get, level up your technique. But don't do that by trying to play it super fast. Instead, try to use them as ways of finding where your technique sort of breaks down. So if you have an issue here, it's a good idea to slow down a lot and use something that I call transition time, where you go as quickly as possible note to note. So the note, there's not a lot of notes we're playing here per minute, but we try to move as quickly as we can between them. So instead of doing this, really sort of slow, slovenly playing, you want to do this. And if you watched the previous video where I showed you the thing where you can basically start the loop from a different note. So if you have anytime you have a loop, you can use that practice technique. So in this case, we have a loop. So you can basically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have 8 starting points. So then I can start on this note. Start on this note. So on this note. But again, do it slower with fast transitions. Start on this note. Next note. Next note. And finally this note. So that's one example that you can try when you work on this stuff. And in this case, I start with a downstroke the whole time, so to turn my picking around as well. And I think that's good, but you can also, if you really want to stick just at getting better on this particular lick, you can make sure that you start on the correct pick stroke for the phrase. So that would mean on this one, you always start with a downstroke. Then this one, you start with an upstroke. So even though this note will be on the beat now, it's going to be on the correct pick stroke for the overall lick. So hopefully you know what I mean. And when it comes to the arpeggios here, you can just take, if you find this shape challenging, maybe because it's stretchier or maybe you're not really comfortable with that, then it's a great idea to work on the actual sequence. So we have this 8-note sequence. And let's just move it chromatically. So if I start down here, and you can also, of course, apply the looping thing that we talked about here, but I'm going to let you figure that out yourself. But just moving things around like this chromatically is really, really good for the arpeggio shapes, because you can spend a lot of time on the weakest shapes. Because if you already can play this, you're going to be able to play that even better, which is great. But then this one will keep holding you back, so that's not so great. So always sort of aim for the ones that suck. And I know that's not the most fun way to practice, but it's the best way to move forward constantly. So if you spend more time on the stuff that you're worse at, you're going to improve way faster than if you sit there and do this sort of ego stroking practice where like, yeah, I'm really good at this stuff. That's not going to lead to a lot of things playing wise. So don't do that. All right, so that's about it for this one. If you have any questions, as always, just post them below and I'll help you out as soon as I can. Other than that, just keep practicing, have fun, and see you in the next video.